kick off this meeting. All right, let's get to the right part of the agenda. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order and we'll have a roll call vote, please.
When I call your jurisdiction, please state your name. San Mateo County.
Dave County.
San Mateo County.
I think we need to swear somebody else.
Yes, but we can go ahead and have the roll call first because she's not participating as a board.
I see.
Okay.
Rick to go.
Birthday, Pauline Macken, Burlingame,
Donna Colson.
Burlingame, Donna Colson.
I am not logged in to anything.
Homa, Daly City, East Palo Alto, Foster City,
Patrick Sullivan.
Half Moon Bay,
Harvey Ryback.
Hillsborough,
Leslie Ragsdale, requesting permission to participate remotely due to a medical exception.
We'll vote on that.
Los Baños,
Boyan.
Menlo Park,
Betsy Nash.
Millbrae, Pacifica,
Aggravates him.
Portola Valley, Redwood City, San Bruno,
Marty Medina.
San Carlos, San Mateo,
Adam Lorraine.
South San Francisco.
All right.
We have one.
Thank you very much. So we will need to approve the teleconference participation.
Yeah,
according to under AB 2449 for Director Ragsdale. So I'll need a motion by someone to accept her participation. Thank you, Vice Chair Medina. Right, and I have a Harvey. Thank you very much, and we have Director Warbeck who has seconded this. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. San Mateo County.
Yes.
San Mateo County. Atherton.
Yeah.
Belmont.
Yeah.
Brisbane. Yes. Burlingame.
Yes.
Homa.
Yes.
Daly City. East Palo Alto. Foster City.
Yes.
Half Moon Bay.
Yeah.
Hillsborough.
Yes, and thank you.
Los Baños. We'll circle back to Los Baños.
He's muted.
Oh.
Los
Baños. Okay.
Yes.
Menlo Park.
Yes.
Millbrae.
Yes.
Pacifica.
Yes.
Portola Valley. Redwood City. San Bruno.
Yeah.
San Carlos. San Mateo.
Yes.
South San Francisco. Woodside. The motion passes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Director Ragsdale, for joining us while you're at home. We really appreciate it. We will have a public comment. Do we need to do a swearing in?
We do. We have
let's do that first. All right, we have one new alternate that's joining us today, so we're going to need to do a swearing.
This is Effie Verducci, for those of you who don't know, who will be one of our alternates from San Mateo County. So welcome. You can raise your right hand. You have this document here to read along with me. I, Effie Verducci, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies. I, Effie Verducci, do solemnly swear or that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to.
That I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to.
Congratulations, thank you.
All right. At this point in the meeting, we're going to open it up to public comment. This would be for any public comment that is not related to an item on the agenda. And due to the Brown Act, we will not be able to reply, but we'd be happy to hear anyone's thoughts. Are there any, Brianna, are there any public comments online? All right, anyone here? Okay, yes, please. If you can come up to the podium here.
Thank you, Brian Schmidt from Menlo Spark. I didn't see a speaker card, but yeah.
No, you're fine. We're more casual.
Thank you. I'll try better now with the microphone. Thank you. Brian Schmidt from Menlo Spark, working on climate issues in Menlo Park and throughout the region. I wanted to report out that on Tuesday, the city of Campbell passed a zero NOx ordinance. In the course of the discussion with staff, staff was asked if BACMID had been asked about their opinion of the zero NOx ordinance. And staff reported out that BACMID staff had been consulted by Silicon Valley Clean Energy and had reported no objection to a city having a zero NOx ordinance. So I wanted to pass that along. Menlo Spark is working on research options on different things that governments could do to electrify and decarbonize their buildings. And we're working on a document. We've already shared it with in Menlo Park, and we'd be happy to share it with anyone else who wants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public? If there are not, we will go ahead and close public comment. We have one, before we begin our regular agendized item, we have one presentation we have Caltrain with us today. We have Executive Director Michelle Bouchard and Representative Brent Tietjen. I got it? Good, okay. External Affairs Manager. So want to open it up?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Justin Pine, Key Account Manager here at PC. I have the privilege again to introduce our colleagues from Caltrain. Caltrain has asked to come before you all to give an update on their electrification initiative. I wanted to kind of set the stage for them, give a little reminder. So you all might recall back in April, I was here before you all to get approved a green transit tariff, a zero carbon intensity tariff that will allow Caltrain and other public transit agencies to maximize their credits generated and really the revenue generated from the low carbon fuel standard program funded by the state. I really don't want to steal their thunder, but we're also looking forward to continuing to partner with Caltrain on some marketing initiatives around this initiative. So that will include hopefully co-marketing, but also we plan to be out in the community with Caltrain, tabling events, spreading the good word. So I just want to, again, thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you for your partnership to date. And I'll turn the mic over to you, Michelle.
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Michelle Bouchard. I'm here with my colleague, Brent Tietjen. We're so happy to be here, particularly now, because we have soft launched our service starting on August 11th. Also was my birthday. Thank you very much. And we're proud to say that with a few train sets in service, it's really starting to get a lot of excitement in the community, and also our riders are really starting to see why this has been an initiative that we've been pursuing literally for the last 25 years. So as part of the member of the Caltrain team, we're just so happy to be standing on the shoulders of all of those that supported And certainly all of the cities represented in this room have given financial, political, and sometimes moral support. And we just wanted to also thank you so much for your partnership. Being partner with Peninsula Energy has allowed us to achieve our board adopted sustainability goals, especially adopting that tariff. So we're really looking forward to this. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to provide some context. I usually get the doom and gloom part of the story, and then Brent gets to, clean up with all of the good stuff. One bit of good news. We are looking at a full launch of the service on September 21st. And so we definitely want to partner with you around some of the events we're going to be having up and down the peninsula in communities. Okay, so this is just who we are. 77 miles of track. We're electrifying 51 miles of it. We've got 31 stations. It's important to understand Caltrain is not a typical commuter railroad. In fact, we are transitioning ourselves to what's called a regional railroad. The significance of that is we're going to be providing the same amount of enhanced service, both north and southbound, when we commence the electrified service. We have been doing that for some time, and that is largely because we have a fully bidirectional commute. And even post-COVID, and I'll show you what our ridership is doing, we still have almost as many people coming out of San Francisco to destinations in Silicon Valley in the morning as they are going north into the city. What has really happened throughout COVID is we have managed to diversify our ridership. We are no longer just a commuter railroad. We provide all types of trips, and that really will help to stabilize our recovery. What we've been known for in the past is that we have actually in excess of 70% fare box recovery. What that means in simple terms is it's fares. People who pay to get on the train, they pay for that proportion of our everyday operating costs. That is, pre-pandemic, a nation-leading fare box. And so as you can imagine, the effects of the pandemic, they affected us greatly, and they still linger. You can see here in 2019, we had about 70,000 average weekday riders. We are a little bit better than the 21,000 that you see here. We're up around 24, 25,000. We're actually, we're back carrying as many riders as we were during Giants games as we were pre-COVID. So we really do see special events as another way to bring people back to the system. One of the impacts on our ridership, though, and we really appreciated the patience that our ridership has had during the construction piece of it. We had more than 20 closures over the weekend to make sure that we were going to keep that September 21st, 2024 date. I can't say we set the 21st 3 years ago, but we definitely said it was going to be September 2024. So I'm really proud of the team that has really worked hard to bring this to fruition. We are working really hard with our partners in the region to shore up our financial situation. We would love to be back at that 70+% fare box ratio. It very much will be dependent on definitely folks coming back to work and folks really getting used to using the new electrified system. But I think this is just a highlight. We are going to be needing the help of our communities and state and potentially federal partners to really figure out how we shore up fiscal deficits that are not only being experienced by Caltrain, but really most of our regional transit operators. So this is something that you're going to hear more and more about, and Caltrain staff is working real hard with our regional partners to make sure that we can come up with a really good way of solving that. And we've done a lot over the course of time to really try and adapt our service. I talked about all the different types of trips that are being taken rather than just commute trips. We've definitely worked hard to coordinate schedules. We've introduced certain pass programs that would be attractive for 3-day-a-week commuters, youth and families, as well as providing free passes for low income and equity priority communities. So we're really trying to put together a suite of tools that really, again, will benefit the railroad once we get into electrified service, which you can see is down here. And when we say planned, I'm gonna put a little red line through the planned word, and it's gonna be starting September 21st, 2024. So I'll hand it over to Brent now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brent Tietjen, External Affairs Manager for the Electrification Project. A very exciting time for us. Just a quick history, real quick on Caltrain. We started here on the corridor in 1864 with steam engines, introduced diesels in 1950s, and this year, as Michelle mentioned, on September 21st, we're going all electric between San Francisco and San Jose, thanks to your help. So really appreciate that support. Quick reminder, we're electrifying a railroad between San Francisco and San Jose. We don't own the tracks south of San Jose Diridon, but we are working with a pilot program to introduce a battery electric train, which would charge on the main line and then use battery power south of San Jose Diridon. We're procuring 24 of these beautiful new electric train sets. If you haven't been on them yet, happy to coordinate a joyride on them before September 21st, but then again, they'll be all electric after that date. As Michelle mentioned, the cities, our states, and federal government have really supported this project in terms of being fully funded. And then construction started in July of 2017 and ended in May, and then we're doing a lot of testing between May and now. Just a quick summary again of a full project and key milestones. We did soft launch these trains on August 11th. So again, you'll see them out there increasingly over the next month and a half or next month. And then again, full electric between San Francisco and San Jose on the 21st. We had some great tours. Over 4,000 people came to each of our public tours of these new trains, really showing the community involvement and community excitement about these trains. We had 3 main tours: San Jose, San Carlos, and San Francisco. While the trains are very beautiful in themselves, but the real product is the service we can provide with these new trains. They can stop and start more quickly than our older diesel trains, meaning that we'll get to San Francisco to San Jose in under an hour, that express train, making 11 stops, which is more than it does today. Quicker local service, which makes all the stops along the corridor, will be 23 minutes quicker. So you really see the efficiency benefit there. And those traveling from southern Santa Clara County will save up to 20 minutes. While we're still providing the same amount of trains we are today, we're able to stop and start at more stations. So that's 20% more service overall, 26% more train service at those equity priority stations. And what I'm most excited about, and I know a lot of my neighbors, because they live in Menlo Park right next to the station, is that half-hourly weekend service at a minimum, and then more during the peak. So that's doubling our weekend service to get to the city or run errands around the peninsula. The trains, again, are beautiful, modern, clean, electric. They have free Wi-Fi, very speedy, smoother, quieter experience overall, power outlets at every seat to stay connected and charged, digital trip information to know where you're going. And then obviously, again, with the partnership here with Peninsula Clean Energy, the clean and green benefits, reducing our carbon emissions by 250,000 metric tons a year. That's equivalent to taking 55,000 cars off the road, improving our local air quality by removing our diesel emissions, and then quieter trains for our neighbors. Quick overview of the sustainability is, again, just reducing those greenhouse gas emissions and that particulate matter, eliminating 2.09 million carbon emissions, relying on clean, renewable domestic energy sources. Again, just that zero carbon emission commitment that our board has made along with the state to meet that. And these trains do have regenerative braking, so they really are able to efficiently use that power. I think between 20 to 30% of that energy can go back to other trains on the corridor. The service schedule is up now, and you can go to caltrain.com/service benefits and see the actual service that your city will get, along with the stopping patterns. If you ride Caltrain, it'll be a much simpler stopping pattern with 3 main stopping patterns along the corridor: express, limited, local, just making it much easier for people to just know they can go to the station and expect a train to be there on time and get to where they need to go. Also, if you are, I know a lot of you represent the communities along the corridor, we are still doing train testing, burning these trains in. They have to have 1,000 miles of testing before they can be placed into service. So just a reminder that we are testing trains between 10 and 4 most weeknights until we have all 24 what we call burnt in or tested fully. We've done a lot of safety outreach. Safety is a core value for Caltrain, and really want to ensure that our communities are safe around the railroad. So we've done community meetings, we've done residential mailers, you can see here on the screen, a lot of onboard outreach as well as school campaigns. If you would like us to come to an event or a school in your community, we're happy to do that at a table or just provide a presentation. You can go to caltrain.com/safety to find the contact information there to request a presentation. And then this is just looking forward, which is a short timeline for us in terms of the project, which August 11th, again, we did our soft launch. So there's still a mixed fleet of diesels and electrics running out there today. We'll continue introducing electrics until September 21st, as that is when we'll launch the full benefit of the new electric service. 14 electric trains providing all electric mainline service between San Francisco and San Jose. As I mentioned, we'll still have the 4 diesels between San Jose and Gilroy. And the schedule is finalized and it's actually posted online again at caltrain.com/service benefits. And then we will have some great community celebrations, one in Palo Alto on the September 21st from 2 to 6 p.m. at the station there. And then one here in San Mateo County at San Mateo Station on the 22nd. And I think I was talking to Justin, I think we're committed to have Peninsula Clean Energy there as well with a table to make sure everybody's aware of all the great partnership that we've had over the years. So this will be a great weekend for us to launch our electric service. Many of your cities have also offered to table or have other events at each station along the corridor. So every city has committed to having some kind of celebration and then having a big culmination at both Palo Alto and San Mateo on that weekend. If you want to stay in touch with us, I'm sure we're happy to come back, provide updates as the project progresses. Right now you can go to caltrain.com/notification or sign up for updates at caltrain.com/get-involved. And again, project celebration on September 21st and 22nd. Hope to see you there. Happy to answer any questions. I don't know if there's a process.
Okay, sorry about that. It's just, we have questions, please?
Will the freight trains still be running at night or mostly at night?
Yes,
And they're
trains,
still diesel.
freight trains will still be running under diesel power. Yeah.
Other questions? Yes, Director Brent.
Thank you. This might be a question for Justin, but whoever can, just on a high level, when we talk about the partnership between Caltrain and Peninsula Clean Energy, and can you remind me, is it maybe like for the portion, you know, within our JPA reach, the sort of like San Mateo County piece, is that like effectively being powered by Peninsula Clean Energy?
I guess so. Yeah, so Caltrain has 2 traction stations, one in South San Francisco and one in San Jose Diridon Station. So all the power that runs to I guess that would be the southern part of the tracks through San Jose will be provided by San Jose Clean Energy. Everything going through the traction station up here will be served by PCE. And those are the 2 interconnections for all the power going to the trains on the tracks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big load. It's awesome. Yeah.
How's that? Yeah.
Yes, please. I'm wondering if you would be so kind as to add a slide that talks about maybe just who are your electric service providers?
For sure.
Because you're moving around doing this throughout the service territory, right?
Yes, yeah, we'll be
That would
happy
be
to
one early win we would.
Yes, happy to do that.
Thank
Yes, of course. Yes. And then I know, as I mentioned, if we've been to a lot of cities, but not all of them. So if you want us to come out and present to your council or your full council, we're happy to do that as well. And we'll definitely add a slide.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Director Fung.
Thank you. I think you might have mentioned it, but I think a little fast. The train that had the battery feature from San Jose all the way to Gilroy, when is it going to be available here?
That's still a couple years out. That's a pilot program that has not been done in the US before, but we have funding and are starting the development of one pilot train. So a couple years out still.
But it would be the same electric train that we're using now and just be an upgrade? Or?
Yeah, same manufacturer, Stadler, and one of the cars would be a battery car, and then there'd be passenger cars as well. So it would look like that, but one will just be a battery car, and then the rest passenger. It would charge on the overhead line between San Francisco and San Jose, and then drop the pantograph connecting to the wire, and then continue on battery power down to Gilroy. It's providing full electric service between San Francisco and Gilroy. So that additional 30 miles.
And the battery would be just enough for that trip, or is that going to be?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's more than that, but I don't know exactly how much power it would have.
Yeah. comments.
All right, any other questions or comments? The only thing I'll say is I know we're gonna do a little tiny party at our station and then connect to you. So we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna come to you. So we're gonna have a little baby, then we're gonna come over. And PCE and Kirsten, she's probably gonna kill me by saying this right now, but she's helping me out with some PCE bags for little spike bags. So I'm gonna bring what we don't use to yours, and I'm sure they'll have a table. We're also gonna, I'm actually also for mine having Caltrain cookies and transportation cookies. So, and I would love to get some contact information because I need some pictures, because we're gonna do an Instagrammable thing. Where we're gonna put up a big, picture of the trains. There's a cute one with two of them together, and I thought it would be fun. Like people could stand in the middle, like they're pushing the trains out, or they can jump up and stand like they're on top of them. And I figured it would be really fun to do some fun, kind of, entertaining things like that that are really instalicious, and we can put them on social media. So let me know if anybody wants to talk about it. Maybe we can do a little kibitzing amongst ourselves to, you want to hook up with me? Come with me.
I think nobody's also doing one of those pop-ups.
Yeah, pop-up.
Yeah.
But maybe we should kind of talk about what is share, and
I think my PIO and your staff can kind of work on that together. Should thing going.
Yeah.
Passport that you go from one station to another, stamp, and just something fun for the kids.
Yeah, Patrick Sullivan with Foster City. Is there any transportation or any connection for Foster City? We sure like to participate, but of course we're on the island. We're kind of like the island out there. Do we have any Samtram or any shuttle buses that would be in conjunction and working with Caltrain? I've thought about working with the city of San Mateo, and I've talked with Rob Newsom. I would think a commuter lane early in the morning from Foster City to San Mateo to the train would be a really good experiment, because we do have a lot of people that will not take the train because of the Hillsdale congestion. So there's no shuttle buses or nothing planned for anything that bridge Foster City together.
Yeah, I'm not sure what shuttles.
And we can take all that offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to thank both of you for coming today. And I want to thank all of this group for the hard work they did in order to get this to happen, and our staff and the negotiations, and just Justin, thank you very much. If there's no other questions or anything, we'll go ahead and table this so we can move through our very packed agenda tonight. But just appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
There is a conflict.
Oh, please. Please.
Let's have a conversation about VC customers and local audience who utilize this for education when they are in those areas in San Mateo County. What type of resources or partnerships can we create to increase ridership and use for my community members?
That would be great. Shawn?
So if Mayor Yamas, if you wouldn't mind putting that in an email, and then we'll forward that on to the Caltrain folks, and they can. Councilman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they can respond directly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That sounds great. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that. Because I do think a lot of these people are commuting over. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. With that, we'll move to action to set the agenda and approve the consent agenda items. Is there any item anyone would like to pull off the consent calendar? Yes. Director Lorraine?
Yes, I just wanted to make a minor proposal related to the agenda item within it, which is item 7. Thank you.
Can we just pull it and we'll finish everything else and we'll pull it and come back?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, so we have item 7 we're going to have removed. And so I'd like to pull item 4. And we have Director Nash would like to pull item 4. Is there anyone online who wants to pull anything? Brianna, nothing? And I'm gonna open it up to see if there's any member of the public who wants to pull anything. All right, seeing none, I'm gonna close the public comment on that. And can I get a motion to set the agenda and approve items 2, 3, 5, and 6, please? Thank you, Dr. Medina. Roll call vote, please, Brianna.
San Mateo County,
Okay, fine.
San Mateo County,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yep.
Belmont.
Yep.
Bernstein.
Yes.
Burlingame.
Yes.
Colma. Daly City. East Palo Alto. Foster City.
Yes.
Half Bay.
Yeah.
Hillsborough.
Yes.
Los Baños.
Yes.
Menlo Park.
Yes.
Millbrae. Pacifica.
Yeah.
Portola Valley. Redwood City. San Bruno.
Yeah.
San Carlos. San Mateo.
Yeah.
South San Francisco. Woodside. Motion passes.
All right. Item number 4, that was pulled off by Director Nash.
So I had a few questions. One was what is included in the 308,000 in customer incentives? Because but I guess what my real question is there anything beyond the total reserve funds of the 564,000? So that is it. So it's the 308 is just some sort of combination.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 308 is the one project that's over the 250,000 for board approval. But the other $500,000 number is the total amount for this project across multiple buildings spread out throughout the project. Yeah. That's the difference in those two numbers you're saying.
So where I was confused was that it said 264.
What was the
the numbers were this is on page 28 where it said the level 2 outlets was 120 level 2 outlets at 240,000, so that's under the 250. 48 level 2 charge ports at 264,000. So that's where I had it. Was wondering what's the 308 versus the 264.
Oh yeah, the numbers there in the agreement is the total amount between all 3 projects. So it's there for reference, but I could see how it's a little bit confusing. But I believe the 264 was the total amount for, what was that, for the outlets, right?
For the level 2 charge points.
Oh, that's for the level 2 charge points.
Yeah, the total reserve funds, including that 308, is 560.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yeah.
And then we talked about this for a minute beforehand, but I just wanted to raise it that if the property is sold prior to the 3 to 5 years, whether or not PCE gets reimbursed, and also if the new owner is obligated to continue with the charge board.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have a structure for being reimbursed, but we do put in the agreement terms that it's required that those chargers are operational for at least 3 years. And yeah, should the chargers and the whole property transfer ownership, the new ownership would also be held to that same agreement.
And then are there any requirements for setting charging rates so that the residents don't get gouged?
Yeah, this is something that ultimately is the decision of the property maker, the property manager, the property owner. But we do work with them throughout this process and set a recommendation for a charging rate, based on their electric tariff that will allow them to recoup their, get reimbursed without gouging tenants. And that is a top concern for us as well in the program, is keeping the charging rates low for the drivers.
Track those and just see if there's any issue. It's just across the board, if anything more needs to be done. All right, thank you.
Hey,
Oh, yeah, I'm Melanie Jasper and I run the EV charging program here at Peninsula 3 Energy or Clean Energy. I joined about 3 months ago, so I'm still relatively new to this program. Thank you all.
Are there any other questions? I'm going to take comments from the public if we have any. The members, any members behind me? Yes, please.
Dave Morrow with IBW Local 617. And by the way, we did that electrification program, by the way. Of course, they never mentioned us, but anyway, I will. To Mrs. Nash's question, I raised the question today, and the way it's broken down is one project is 308,000, and the other two buildings are 128,000 each. That's where the 308 comes from, if that helps you out. Okay, that's all I gotta say. And it was very good. Phil was very helpful with that, and you were right, Shawn. It did come up.
Unfortunately, Phil couldn't be with us. Thank you, Mr. Morrow. Appreciate that. All right, if there are no other members of the public who have a comment, I'll go ahead and close public comment, and we'll take a roll call vote, please.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yeah.
Atherton?
Yes.
Belmont?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move approval of item 4.
A motion by Tiger Big Stick, and we have Martin Medina, Director Medina, for the second, Vice Chair. All right, sorry, now we'll do it appropriately.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton? Belmont?
Yeah.
Brisbane?
Yes.
Burlingame?
Yes.
Colma?
Yes.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Yes.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Baños?
Yes.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yes.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yeah.
San Carlos? San Mateo? South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 7. Approval of the minutes from the November 16th, June 27th, and correction of April 25th Board Directors minutes. Yes, Director Lorraine.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just happened to notice that in the April minutes, the roll call shows Amherst Lee participating for San Mateo, but I did happen to be present. So
great.
I brought it up as a minor comment with Brianna, and with the board's consent, perhaps we could, that's my only proposed correction.
Thank you. We appreciate you catching that. And every now and then, we will change somebody's name, just make sure you're all reading that. Thank you. If we have no other comments or changes, I'll take questions from members of the public. If anyone has any? Okay. So we'll go ahead and close public comment. And may I please have a motion to approve item 7? All right, we have Director DeGolia first and Director Lorraine as a second. Roll call vote, please.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Belmont?
Yeah.
Brisbane?
Yes.
Burlingame?
Yes.
Colma?
Yes.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Abstain.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Baños?
Yeah.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yeah.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yeah.
San Carlos? San Mateo?
Yes.
South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 8, which is chair's report. It really is not much, just I want to thank, we did a kickoff with our strategic plan. I want to thank our staff who really led that work, and Vice Chair Medina, Director Ragsdale, and Director Lorraine for giving up their almost entire day to do this work. I know they had to take, Director Lorraine even took the day off. We're very grateful. We'll have more on that coming up, but we kicked it off, so. Okay. Oh, I guess any members of the public who want to comment on that report? Being none, we'll go ahead and close public comment.
I will move on to the CEO report, first by welcoming you all back. This is the first meeting since June, and hopefully you all had a restful time in July. So I'm going to run through these items pretty quickly so we can get on to our action items. The first up tonight is just to bring you up to speed on a couple of special things that we are doing right now with the PUC and the CEC. We, under Shawn E's leadership and the regulatory team, are putting together a site visit to 2 properties in San Mateo County in our service territory. One will be an affordable home that was fully electrified under the whole home program for a low-income customer. And then the second site will be an apartment building to look at an EV installation and talk about the value of right sizing. So we will shuttle from here, then come back, have lunch with the senior staff and talk about decarbonization and our 24/7 time coincident aspirations. So that's happening on the 26th, at least as of this moment. And then just to let you know, sort of similar to what we're calling the CEO Roadshow, where I'm moving around to all the council meetings, we are hosting meetings with commissioners both at the PUC and the CEC. These are virtual, but we've had very, very good response from all of the commissioners at both bodies. So we're almost wrapped up. That last week with President Reynolds, that went very well. And then we'll finish up with Commissioner Sivaklunda at CEC. So do want to say thank you to Jeremy, excuse me, and his team and Shawn E for getting those going. All right. What happened here? Next is the prepaid bond update. So you may remember that Nick, why am I missing Nick's last name tonight? Tietjen, sorry, our CFO, came before the board several months ago to talk about the prepaid bond opportunity. Rick DeGolia, also at the time chair, spoke about that as well. So Nick has been going back to the Audit and Finance Committee, has really been the committee to kind of shepherd this through. We are on track right now for an October bond issuance, pending market conditions. As you all know, market's been volatile with interest rates moving up and down. So we are tracking that. We will be going to the executive committee in September to seek their approval to then advance it to the full board for the end of September. We have engaged Goldman Sachs as the designated prepaid supplier, and today the CFA, which is the finance authority, approved us as members. So all the different moving parts are coming into place. We are working with 4 counterparties to put those long-term PPAs into the program. And it looks like right now, even though there's quite a lot of volatility right now in the market, that we're still targeting between 5 and 6 million in annual savings. Hopefully more than that, but we'll have to just kind of see. So one of the reasons that we're bringing this to the board in September is so that we can be ready to go when hopefully things improve from where they are today and we can pull the trigger quickly. CPA just did that, and they were able to, CPA is Clean Power Lines in LA. They were able to pull the trigger at a 12% spread and interest rate. So this is why we're getting all our ducks in a row to be ready to go. All right, any questions about that? You'll hear, the executive committee will be hearing much more detail in September. I also want to give you a heads up that the Diablo Canyon nuclear allocation issue is coming up. It is a different scenario than the 2020 nuclear allocation that also came before this board. Recall that that decision is about whether or not to take the carbon-free attributes from the nuclear allocation. It is not about whether or not we are procuring nuclear energy. The decision has new regulatory context. You can take a look at that there. We will be talking about this a lot more. And I just wanted to give the board an update on where, all the different meetings that we are having to both educate and vet this issue and receive feedback. So that's the schedule there, with it ultimately coming before your board next month on the 26th. Okay, any questions about that? Moving right along, we're going to go local tonight with our legislative update. Really to let you know that 3/4, maybe 2/3, oh, 3/4 are involved in some fashion in a campaign. Some contested, some not contested. But I do want to just let you know that we have 5 board members that are not seeking re-election, many of some original board members. So we'll be losing or termed out, thank you. So we'll be losing 5 at the end of this year. And then there are 8 directors who are in campaigns. And we wish you luck with that. And then there are several other directors running unopposed or whose seat would be safe. Want to just make you aware of that, really with a message to say good luck in your campaigns. And we are really hoping that those who are able to stay will stay on our board. We really need consistency, and we need a core group. We are planning a robust orientation program because we know we will have a whole new crop of board members come January. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. Any questions? Okay. PCE in the community, this is just a quick rundown of our various activity. I do want to give a shout out to the city of San Bruno and Councilmember Medina. They are hosting their big aquatic center grand opening this coming weekend. And that features one of our first GovPV round 1 projects on that center. So very exciting.
It's amazing. Can I just say something?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
You're all welcome. We are so fortunate to have, I would say, the best facility in the county. It's really that impressive. Indoor outdoor pool, basketball courts. It's just, come check it out Saturday.
It'll be an event.
Yeah. And it's got,
solar power.
PCE, not yet, but in the midst of getting it all connected. So it is really something special.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, you all are aware of this. I'm happy to report. We nailed down COMA today. So that means that by November, I will be complete moving around the county with various briefings. It has been a delight though. I was in Half Moon Bay earlier this week, San Mateo. I really have appreciated your hospitality. Okay, staffing updates. Not going to run through all of these, but I do want to point out that Philip Kobernick, who you all know well, was promoted last week to Associate Director of Energy Programs. That means that he will be Raphael's sort of official deputy for the department as the programs grow. And he will not only be handling the electric transportation piece, but also building electrification. So he's taking on transportation and buildings to allow Raphael and the rest of the team to focus in on getting our DER strategy going and continuing on with GovPV and rolling out our one-stop shop, etc. Lots going on. So congratulations to Philip, who couldn't be here tonight. Quickly on posted positions for our customer service center that you all approved earlier this year. We had really great response to our job postings, some of which are in the Central Valley, the candidates. We've had a lot of interest from Spanish-speaking bilingual, not as much for Mandarin. So the posting is closed because we've had so many applicants. But if anyone knows of Mandarin speakers who are interested, we would love to have them apply. And I also want to let you know, Nellie had her baby during the month of July. So welcome Liliana Joe. Yeah, she's very cute. Nellie is doing well, and she misses us, or so she says. And here are the upcoming meetings, and that concludes my report. Any questions?
Nice Brianna, who's done a tremendous job filling in for Nella.
100%. It's really true, and you are a joy to work with. Thank you. All right, that concludes my report.
Does any member of the public have a comment they want to make regarding the CEO report? Anything from anyone? No, you'll let me know, right? If it's okay, yes.
Can you go back to the slide about September 28th, event in Half Moon Bay? It's news to me. Yeah. Yeah, Roots and Watts. What is that?
I don't know, Kirsten?
Oh, yeah. It's a local community local event organized by some community organizations. I believe that Roots refers to a farm tour, and then they're also going to talk about energy. So it's a sustainability event. Happy to give you more details.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. If there are no other members of the public that want to comment, I'll close that. And we'll move on to item 10, which is the CAC report. I want to welcome Jason Mendelson. See there. Where are you? I'm like, where is Jason? Got my back. I want to welcome Jason Mendelson, and I'd like to congratulate you on becoming the new chair of the Community Advisory.
I'm very thrilled to ride the train. I'm just sad it probably won't be any Giants games in October and have to wait till the spring. I'm sorry. In any event, thank you, Honorable Peninsula Energy Board and Chair Colson and PCE staff and members of the community. I am Jason Mendelson. I was recently elected to be chair of the Community Advisory Committee. I've met many of you before, and I'm excited to get to know all of you better over the coming year. At our most recent CAC meeting on August 8th, amongst other topics, we conducted the following meeting. We swore in many new CAC members, and I want to thank you all for appointing such wonderful community members. They are amazing, and hopefully we don't screw them up. We received and provided feedback on a report from Gwen Rose, Director of Marketing and Community Relations, on PCE's brand structure and evolution that I think you're going to hear more about. We received a report from Vanessa Shin, the Associate Manager of Community Relations on Energy Literacy and School Decarbonization, and the CAC unanimously recommended the following for you, which I don't know if you'll put up, but I'll read it in here and then you can look at it later. The Community Advisory Committee of PCE endorses the staff's proposed continued funding and allocations for the energy literacy and school decarbonization programs and encourages the board to increase the funding in the next budget cycle and publicize and celebrate the achievements of these programs as soon and as vigorously as possible. The CAC continues to have members sign up for our designated working groups for the year and discuss the goals of those working groups you assign to us. We also received a marketing community relations update and provided feedback. I was, unfortunately for them, elected as chair of the committee, and Kathleen Goforth is the vice chair. We profusely thanked Cheryl Schaff for her multiple years of leading the CAC, and I would request that the PCE board also thank her for her tireless efforts. On behalf of the CAC and PCE, she was an exemplary leader, and I will not live up to it, but I will try, and I would love you guys to thank her for that. She did an amazing job, and I think got more done than anybody has in the short time she led us in that effort. We concluded by discussing our future topics, and we look forward to engaging with this board, the staff, and the community members about all of these topics in the future. And thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mendelson. Does anyone have any questions on the CAC report? Yeah, please.
I just have a comment. First of all, thank you for coming in person. It's a pleasure. Not required, but it's cool. So thank you. And as you requested, I thought perhaps I could propose just a quick round of applause for Cheryl and her effort.
Yeah. Thank you very much. If there are no other questions or members of the public who have comments, I'll go ahead and close that. And we will move on to item 11.
I want to kick this one off for a second. Kirsten, if you don't mind. So the next two items we'll be hearing from Kirsten. And we realized that after we had prepped everything and posted everything, that these contracts now fall below the new threshold that the board established in June for the CEO at $250,000. And we forgot, And so, they're on here, and I just want to acknowledge that we remember now, and so it won't happen again. But this way, at least you can hear from Kirsten, and we'll get an overview of what's going on. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Shawn. A quick question: is there a
clicker? Here you go.
Oh, great, thanks. Right. Kirsten Andrew Schwind, Associate Director of Community Relations and Climate Equity. And speaking of community relations, if anyone else is having a Caltrain celebration, I'm happy to provide swag for you too. So let us know. And so tonight I have two contracts I'll tell you about. The first is with the San Mateo County Office of Education. And those of you who have been with us for a while know that we've been partnering with our County Office of Education in San Mateo County for a number of years. Three of the programs bringing to you tonight are renewals, and then there's a new one as well. But I also want to let you know that we are also partnering in Los Baños, since I know Mariana is on the phone with us. That's just not a contract I'm bringing you tonight, but I will mention, I signed off on some invoices today to bring a couple bus loads of high school students from Los Baños to UC Merced for college field trips there to learn about their clean energy labs. So we are partnering with schools in Los Baños as well. So we're partnering with schools to get the word out about clean energy and to inspire students to make sure they know that adults are working hard on climate change. Let them know how they can be involved, but also because schools have a lot of facilities to decarbonize. And a lot of schools aren't taking advantage of the funds that are available to them for often lack of staff capacity. So some of the funding that we are offering to the County Office of Education is to help school district staff build their capacity to decarbonize their buildings, identify the fossil fuel equipment they have, inventory it, develop a plan for replacing it, and to inspire them to take leadership in doing so. And then we also have a track for supporting curriculum and for teachers and students. We're training educators on energy literacy curriculum, exposing students and educators to green careers, and providing extracurricular opportunities for climate leadership. So on the school decarbonization, we have a proposal to allocate $124,000 to help pay for the Director of Sustainable Construction and Facilities. Part of the funding also comes from the County Sustainability Department. And he's really doing a great job supporting the school districts in figuring out how to write decarbonization into their facilities master plans and bond measures, and getting really practical about how schools work and how facilities work, and building this into those processes. We've got a little video there of a model windmill. We're providing these windmill kits to the classrooms and training teachers on how to use them to teach kids about engineering windmills and clean energy. And then one of our new programs this year is doing a landscape analysis of career and technical education pathways for kids to become electricians for installing EV charging. Now we have auto shop in high schools, but some of those careers are going to become obsolete over those students' lifetimes in terms of working on internal combustion engines. And so we're working with our career and technical advisor, education coordinator at the county office, and as well as some other industry partners such as the IBW. Thank you, Dave. On figuring out how we can reorient some of these pathways to training kids to be electricians to install EV charging instead of working on internal combustion engines. And then we have funding for summits and awards to just energize the school community about clean energy and electrification. And the total budget for this contract is $210,000.
All right. Okay, so do we have any questions for Kirsten or her team?
You?
Yeah.
Just one.
Please.
Thank you, Chair. Just in the, Mr. Mendelson with the CAC just mentioned enthusiastic support from them and an interest in increasing the amount that might be given for such efforts in the following years to come. Can you maybe just remind me at what point the staff and or the board might consider such a decision?
If there's, well, certainly, well, how should I say this? We have a long kind of process of figuring out our programs with schools. We start negotiating this in May, I would say. So over the several months, we'll work with the County Office of Education side and our side to kind of hone in what our projects are going to be. That said, we can always add more projects in addition to these contracts. And then next year we can expand as well.
All right. Are there any comments from members of the public? Or would any members of the public like to speak? Okay. Yes, please.
It seems like this is an excellent way to have contact with parents, especially through the kids, and promote electrification in residents.
Great.
Yes, just a quick comment that I would love to participate in some of the events that are being discussed within, like the symposium being planned, or you know, the youth leadership or awards ceremony, or anything else in which a board member being there would be useful.
Wonderful. And we do get requests sometimes for speakers from Peninsula Clean Energy at these events. And so it's great to know if any board members would like to come help represent us at these events. That's great. Thank you.
The bar very hard.
Yeah, thank you. And it was a great presentation. For the career technical education collaboration, how was the high school district selected? Because I see it's Jefferson Union High School District. And so I'm just kind of curious, why was that one chosen as opposed to any other high school district?
Right. I would need to consult with the CTE coordinator at the County Office of Education and then get back to you, because she was the one who selected that district. I do know that they have a strong auto shop program there, and that they were open to reworking it. They also have a relationship with Skyline College's auto shop program. So it was I think she thought that was a good place to start. The landscape analysis she's doing will cover the entire county. So she is doing a landscape analysis of all of the high school programs, in all of the districts. But I believe that she identified that particular teacher as an auto shop teacher as a good teacher to give input because he was open to doing so. But that's good. The landscape analysis will cover all the high schools in the county.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think I concur then with Mr. Lorraine's comment about expansion of the program. So I kind of view this as a pilot then for them. Thank you.
That would be great. All right. If there are no other questions and no comments from the public, we can close public comment, and I would call for a motion if anyone would like to make it.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Director Mackin makes a motion. I've got a second from, is it Director McHugh? Or Warback? Take Director Warback, okay. Maybe please have a roll call vote.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton? Belmont?
Yes.
Brisbane?
Yes.
Irvington? Colma?
Yes.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Yes.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Baños?
Yes.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yes.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos? San Mateo?
Yes.
South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
Great. Item number 12, which is a resolution to delegate authority to CEO to finalize and execute a contract with County San Mateo's Sustainability Division for the Youth Climate Ambassadors Program for a not to exceed amount of $50,000. Once again, we appreciate it, even though it's a little under. It's nice to work. Nice.
I think I have one slide on this. So this is a additional schools related contract, this time with the County Sustainability Department, because we partner with them to run the Youth Climate Ambassadors Program. This is a program that was started actually by volunteers in Burlingame, and it's ramped up across the entire county, and with support from the County Office of Education, Sustainability Department, ourselves, Actera. It's a real group effort. It's a year-long fellowship for high school students, up to 70 high school students. Do this as an after-school program, learn about climate change and implement local projects focused on solutions. We provide stipends for the students and extra stipends for students that come from families where no one has gone to college. So this, stipends for everybody and extra stipends for folks where the highest level of college education in the family is high school.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have a question or a comment? Yes, Director Mackin.
Thank you. I just have one question on the staff report under program budget. It says that funding from Peninsula Clean Energy will increase YCA staff capacity. Is that something new?
Yes, that's right. It's stipends and it is also some staff support. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Any members of the public have comments? Or all right. No public comment. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Director Lorraine. Thank you very much, Director Kine, for a second. Roll call vote, please.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Brisbane? Yes. Burlingame?
Yes.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Yes.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Enthusiastic, yes, thank you.
Los Baños? Baños?
Yes.
I see him there. He's waving.
Yeah, he said it.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yeah.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos? San Mateo? South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 13, approval of proposed administrative update to PC Authority Joint JPA Agreement. It's an action item. Shawn Marshall.
Person, can I have the clicker back? Thanks. Okay. All right, so we will make this one quick because it has been before your board a couple of times now. You may recall that at our last board meeting on June 27th, the board heard an overview of 6, I believe, elements to be updated in the JPA agreement in order to remove duplication and align better with policies 14, 15, and 16, to basically make sure that we were not talking past each other in the documents. At that board meeting, your board directed us to go ahead and send that out to all of our member agencies for a 30-day comment period. That happened on July 17th. No comments have been received through August 17th and even to today. There have been no comments received. So we are now at the place where you would be able to go ahead and approve that. Here's a quick summary of the 6 elements that were updated. Directors Emeritus section 3.1 moved to policy 16, which is essentially operating procedures. Section 337 on powers and functions of the board expanded to include authorities regarding PUC, FERC, and other agency filings. Section 3.4, Chief Executive Officer, moved the dollar value threshold to policy 14. Section 391, selection of board officers. It updates officer term limits to 2 years instead of 3 to better align with our local election cycles. And it is also cross-referenced in policy 16. Section 531, the budget. Language is updated to reflect current practice, including quarterly reporting to the board and the provision that the board may update any variances or significant changes in the budget by board action. Section 611 and 6.12, right to withdraw, essentially updates notification requirements from 6 to 12 months to better align with current resource adequacy rules. I do want to point out that you have there, hopefully next to you, a at places memo to correct a couple of errors that we found, and thank you, Director Mappin, who found one of them. Appreciate your eagle eye. And then also includes a resolution supporting this action tonight. So you have that at your place. And with that, the recommendation is to approve the third amended joint powers agreement to include administrative edits to PCE's joint powers agreement.
All right. Is that a sufficient motion, or does it need to specifically call out a resolution? A resolution.
It would be helpful to have on the record the resolution.
All right.
In some.
Let me just that language would be right here.
It's from the last slide that Shawn had up.
Okay, can we put that up? Oh, great. So we don't want all of those, do we? Oh, yeah.
You don't have to read them all, but I think we're talking about.
Yeah, this is what we need to do. So just to make this easy, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for a resolution approving an amendment to allow for administrative updates to the Peninsula Clean Energy Authority Joint Powers Authority JPA agreement. Is there anyone who would like to make a second? Yeah, thank you very much, Director Funk. So we have a motion, we have a second. And we have a roll call. Oh, did we take public comment? Sorry. Moving along here, Director Mueller, my apologies. So let's roll that back for a second. First of all, take any questions that anyone has here. Yes, please.
Require by the member agencies?
It does not. That's why there's a 30-day comment period after having sent it out to all the member agencies.
Director Mueller?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the red line version, and the thing that, and I just want to clarify because I was a little confused by it. Right now, Corey, looking at the red line I'm looking at, there are no term limits. Is that wrong? Because the stricken portion says there shall be no limit on the number of terms held by either the chair or vice chair. And now it appears we're changing that. And so I just wanted to
make sure that's all consistent.
Make sure that's consistent. Are we moving to term limits now?
I think what we're doing is moving to every year if you approve, that you could be approved. It's like a 2-year term and then move on.
So only two-year terms, whereas opposed in the past there was
2
1-year terms. And was that the case in the past?
Are you looking, Supervisor, at what is next to you? Because I think
I'm looking what was actually in the
packet. Okay.
In the packet online, it's
yeah. Okay.
It's different, but
we
that's
will double check. Definitely had some challenges with reconciling a couple things.
Okay.
As recently as today. Go ahead.
Okay, so what was in the packet is different than what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agenda packet that was sent out last week. We have an at place memo today stating the changes that were made in the red line. So the copy you have in front of you is the correct one.
Okay, so this is the correct one.
Yeah, and it is also listed under additional documents if you go to today's agenda meeting. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Apologies for the confusion on that.
No worries.
Okay. Any other questions? Eagle Eye Board?
Okay.
I've
actually, the document in front of me here still says there shall be a limit of 2, and then stricken says no limit on the number of terms. So it doesn't say there's 3 terms, it says there's no limit within the document.
If that got struck, so it should read, let's just read this shout. So everybody? Yep. We're on page 8. If everybody wants to follow along, and if we can fix it, we will.
It's a major policy shift to go from no term limits to 2. And so that's what.
So we put in, to get the executive director, executive board, and the idea behind this, and I pushed for this quite a bit because for 2 reasons. First, I think it's a very large lift to ask someone to be chair of this. This is a lot of work, this board. And to ask someone to do it for 3 years, especially given you saw like the turnover and how many, like, you know, how much potential turnover there is just because we're all elected officials. This isn't a regular board. We didn't just keep people on. That was one issue. And the second is it will probably better align with more elections, which are 4 years. So 2s and 2s and 2s seem to work better than 3s and 3s. And thirdly, it's really to make sure that we create a pathway to leadership in this organization so that we don't get, you know, when we first started, the board was really an operating board to a large degree. So having stability at the board chair position and vice chair was really critical. But as we move into a more traditional board oversight, there are still a lot of responsibilities that come to the chair and the vice chair. So it's like 4 years of a lot of work, but it would create more of a pathway for more people to come through into the leadership and just allow us to broaden that out. But yes, Director DeGolia.
So I see what you're pointing out, Ray, which is that the prior draft said that there was no term limit.
Right.
Notwithstanding that the prior draft said there was no term limit, we've been operating under the operation that there's a 3-year term limit for each, the vice chair and the chair. I don't know if that was included in a policy versus in the JPA itself, but we've operated that way since we formed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a change to the way we've operated. And now it appears to also be a change in the language of the JPA.
The way it's written is a little awkward. It's accurate. I don't know, Jen, if you want to comment on that, but we're happy to clean up the language if you want.
It's fine. I mean, just for all of you to know, I don't actually like term limits, especially in technical circumstances like this. But if everyone else wants to go along with it, great. So.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. And I think there are always, you know, I mean, if people want to write in there's extenuating meeting circumstances, but I don't governance at all to exceed 2 years in a chair position, or the organization that I'm working on. 2 years is it, and you move it along. And there's a lot of reasons for that, including it's just like governance. Like if there is something that's wrong, it tends to get picked up when there's more turnover. So if there's fraud going on or anything like that, also, you know, the problem, at least, you know, Dave, Jeff, Rick have graciously offered to stay for 3 years. I think there's a lot of pressure then for people to continue in this job if they're doing a good job. I said something to someone one day, I said, how come nobody ever volunteers to help me? And they go, because you managed to do it all by yourself. And that is a problem for people like me or any of us who really are leaders. You get in these roles and then it gets hard. People don't want to challenge you. They don't want to step in. And people feel very, that's why I'm running for a 3rd term. Like they feel very responsible. But I think if you put a term on, it does force everyone to then build up a vice chair, build up the, you know, figure out who's going to be the chair of the subcommittees and get those people experience so that the vulnerabilities of the organization are not relied on people who are subject to the vicissitudes of the voters in this county. I mean, Marty, you know, we could all be voted out quickly, and then there would have to be more leadership. So that's my sort of speech as to why I was so impassioned about this and felt it was so important. I have a responsibility to bring on future leadership.
I'm not gonna disagree with you. So still don't, I'll just be honest on the other side, still don't really like term limits. I think you can say I'm only gonna do it for 2 years and be held to only doing it for 2 years, but I get it. And if people want to put it in, in the circumstance that you have someone really good who wants to stay on, I'd hate to see him get kicked out and lose the expertise.
Well, I'm open if somebody wants to make a change that to extend to 3 years.
So this says there's now a 2-year term limit. If somebody doesn't apply or step forward to assume the position when the chair or vice chair hits that term limit, and the chair or vice chair is willing to re-up, is that possible to do? Or does this make it that it's not possible for that to happen?
This language makes it so it's not possible for that to happen. If we want that flexibility built in, I mean, it does somewhat undermine the language that the edit that we're making. But we can put some language in that allows, you know, some kind of dispensation in that special circumstance where nobody is willing to take the chair, and we could extend in that particular instance, we could extend by 1 year if we want to do that, or delegate to the executive committee. Right. We have options, but this current drafting does not give us that option.
Yes.
Yeah, just a comment. I think the intent is good, and that language should be in there because in circumstances of leadership, you may be at a point where you don't have that leadership to follow up. So I think the language to adapt that would be a very safeguard, so to speak. But the intent, I appreciate your intent to move leadership forward. But we may have a circumstance where you're not going to be able to do that. And if you have that wording exactly like that, you don't have leadership. So I think you have to have a little bit more flexibility in the language.
And maybe describe what special circumstances.
Right, that would be appropriate, yeah.
We talked about doing this, and then, but I think it's maybe good to come back. The other thing I do want to point out, in policy 16, it doesn't solve the problem you guys are addressing, but it does say after 1 year, a director could come back and serve again. So it's not a prohibition forever, but there is that 1 year gap, which.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin's gonna.
That was gonna be my next question, so it's good to.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Ray.
Thank you, and thank you, Shawn, for bringing that up, because to me, I think, given that, I support the current language and the chair's reasoning for it. And if there's an opportunity for someone to come back after 1 year gap, I feel that the existence of the executive committee and that having numerous directors on it should allow us to support and continue leadership, even in some of the rarer instances that may hypothetically occur, such as the chair and vice chair both being voted out or something.
The way I sort of look at it is San Mateo, City of San Mateo, you know, a perfect example. We are all rotational mayors for the most part, with the exception of Belmont and San Bruno. And so you could have a situation where 3 council members, and all of a sudden you have a 1 year, you know, very untenured person becomes mayor. It is sort of the reality as elected officials. It's the reality in which we operate and work. And I feel like everyone on this board is pretty capable, or they wouldn't be here. So that's why this chair role is evolving. It's a lot of work, you know, reviewing the CEO, helping on strategic planning, but it is not, this position is more about running the meetings and helping the staff organize. It is not about, it's not when we first started for the first 10 years, as much about shaping and managing policy and approving contracts, where you really needed a body of expertise. To me, it's a little more like the rotation on the supervisors and on the cities in general, where we just kind of have a tradition of rotating. If there were, I'm glad to hear that if there's a circumstance where someone needs to step down or away, again, I'm open to it. It's just, that was sort of my rationale behind it. if anyone has any other thoughts. I'll leave it out there if anyone wants to make a motion one way or another. I'm sort of.
Frankly, I agree with what Patrick said. I think that flexibility is a good thing. I don't have any problem with having an expectation that people step out of the position after 2 years. But if there's not somebody who wants to step in and that person wants to continue for a year, that seems like a good thing for us. So I would prefer to have that kind of flexibility myself.
So I can read something that I've drafted kind of while everybody's talking. One, while listening, of course. One other is that because this particular new draft hasn't gone out to the notice period that Shawn described, we'll go ahead and remove it. But if we can decide on the language, we'll be able to at least post it and not.
We would resend it, right?
Yes. But we don't have to do that for every single one, just this particular one. So my thoughts were as follows. In the event that a director does not volunteer for the chair or vice chair position, the incumbent chair or vice chair may be reelected for an additional 1-year term beyond the 2-year term listed above. Does that encompass kind of what we're thinking?
Just a little bit. Hopefully in the situation.
Right.
And then we would be fine with a majority vote on that, allowing that to happen by the full board.
So do you have a posting period on that too?
To go back for the 30 days on that particular, but the rest, if the board would like, can approve that tonight.
I think that's a good statement.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The situation in which I worry about, for me, on the whole thing, and why I think this is important, is where there is a person. I don't think anyone in this room is this person, but we've looked from the presidency on down and seen when people manpower and they're in it and they don't want to leave. And that is what I'm worried about. So I just think having a more formal process, and I'm happy to extend it for 1 year, but I just worry that in some situations where I've seen some of the worst governance, it's because someone gets in the power role and they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And there is no framework around which they must ascend to another position or role. And then all of a sudden they're termed out or they're no longer ready, they get voted off their council. And then we have a void anyway, because we haven't been encouraging and bringing people on. We're all busy and it's easy to say I don't have time, except for Director Lorraine, who has doing it. Okay. So I if everybody's okay, yes. Yes, we'll do 2 here, yes.
I understand safeguard flexibility. We would discuss this at the executive committee. And I think the fact that we have a chair and a vice chair position, that in itself is already pipeline. I said,
and a chair
for chair position. And if we go along for a while, if vice chair or senate chair, and we don't have anybody who wants to step up to be a vice chair, well then, there's a little time for that, right? So, and the scenario in which you point out there, Wilson, I don't think we have that in this room. I certainly hope it would not exist anyway. But it is nonetheless, in our line of work, something that these rules, I consider that guardrail. It's there to prevent from happening. And it's good to have. That's the same thing.
Thank you.
And one more thing, just want to leave everybody with this part of it, is that as part of the leadership role, chair, vice chair, so on and so forth, mayor, vice mayor, so on and so forth. Knowing that we only occupy that space for a finite amount, not perpetuity, it's part of our job to grow the leadership bench. I consider that part of the job. So, I know you're already busy. I don't going to put this on you any further, but it is part of the job to seek out those future leadership to succeed this organization as we move forward. So I think I'm, on that spirit, I think I'm fine with the current language as drafted. That's why I said it.
Yes, is there one more comment over here? Please, Leslie, or Director Ragsdale?
Yes, I'm of two minds. I really appreciate Donna, especially having been in this role. I give your perspective just so much weight. And I do feel like you do make it a priority I know it's something you really think about and work on, growing the leadership in the organization, and on this board, your other boards, council, and I really appreciate that. So I'm inclined for the current language because of that. But if the board is inclined to do the newly drafted addition, I might just add a little bit, just tweak it, because I think that the wording, something about the word volunteer, and I might just add something that says, or, agrees to a request to serve from the nomination committee, or just some kind of language where, if there is a really strong leader, but not strong and kind, like Donna, I worry that people might be afraid to volunteer. So I just would like something in there that, there will be a process to look for that successor.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And that is the process. Okay. So I'll go to Betsy, then we'll go back to Director Nash.
I'm actually would support the current language as well. If we do have that third year, it again throws us off the election cycle. And I think that it's actually, as you have pointed out, is actually valuable to maintain that the 2 years with the 2-year election cycles.
Okay. Yes, Director Wheeler.
Yeah, so I respect you all so much. I respect your logic. I'm still not in agreement, and I'll tell you why. I understand right now that when PC was first formed, there was a number of years where it was operational, and now we are in what would be a calm period where we're relying more on staff. But we may not have Shawn forever. We may have people who we hire who are not good managers. We may have terrible fluctuations in the market. Because things are calm now does not mean that they will be calm in the future. And to allow us the flexibility when they are not, in that rare circumstance, to say for 1 year we're going to deviate from the rule because we have a strong leader who can get us through that, I think provides us that flexibility. I completely agree with everything that the executive committee has said. I think there is a lot of wisdom to that, and that is why you would move toward the 2-year norm. But one of the reasons why I don't like term limits, I've just indicated, there are times when it's really not opportune to lose people who have, and then also the size of us. There's like 20 of us. The idea that one person could exert that much influence to say no one run against me if someone wanted it, I don't think that'd be pretty difficult. Would be my guess. So I think it would have to be really the rare circumstance where that person in the vice chair spot wouldn't want to move up after 2 years. But that's, if people want to go that way, I won't, I completely understand it.
Okay. Yes,
thank you. And I guess the bit in the CEO's reports about how a third of us or however many of us might be moving on potentially bolsters the argument to a point. But what if there's written in something along the lines of this policy is to be reviewed every 5 years or something like that to follow up on this conversation, and that it's written into the policy that we are to follow up on the conversation to check in, see where we are with it, rather than just this is the policy and if it comes up again, whatever.
I think we review it almost every year.
So one thing, I think if we went that direction, regardless of where we end up, my recommendation, and I defer to you, Jen, but my recommendation then would be to remove it from the JPA agreement where we're actually putting a number stamp on it and remand it to policy 16.
Yeah.
Because opening up the JPA agreement is something you generally do not do often.
Yeah.
So that could be one other way to give some additional flexibility, because policies can be amended by the board more regularly and more easily, frankly, than the JPA.
Yeah, that's what we've done with a lot of this more detailed work, is put it in the policy so that we're able to be more flexible and respond to conditions the supervisor is discussing.
If we put it in the policy statement, maybe we would have the flexibility as a board to make a deviation.
Rather than a JPA agreement.
Right.
That's a very good idea. Good idea.
You know, so in that, I mean, I think it's gonna be a rare circumstance where someone goes more than 2 years. But if there's conditions that require it, the board can prove it.
Right. So an example would be the middle of COVID, right? We're not meeting as a board. It's hard. We don't know each other. We don't, you know, and maybe there's a reason why you want to continue on for one more year because things are in such disarray. So I can create leeway in there for a situation like that, right? If that were all right to remand that to the
Can I have a point of clarification?
just 1 minute, please. Yeah. I will call on you. But if we could remand it to there, as Supervisor Pine suggests, that might work out. But yes, please.
The language that you're using, you're indicating that you already have that flexibility in changing that policy. When you say changing that policy, is that yearly or under the circumstances? So I'm kind of listening to what you're saying. Even if we put this in place, what you're saying, the board in itself can change that policy and bring it back in cases, you know. And I was thinking about it, if you have district elections now. We witnessed in Millbrae a situation of recalling 2 people. What if, as circumstances were, that maybe one or both of those people were recalled, were on this board?
Well, then we would be simply appoint another council person from that council, or the backup person would come in. I think that's a different question than the question we're debating on the floor right now, which is where do we reside this flexibility?
But I wanted to go back to the immediate question. You're indicating, even if we passed it with the language you have, the board has that discretion to change that policy, isn't that correct?
It's discretionary, but it depends on whether you put it in the joint power authority agreement, which requires a different kind of amendment. The 30-day policy has to go to legal trade versus our own board policy 16, which can be amended by this group here on a much shorter and concise framework. Yes.
So I'm fine. I'm fine with taking the language as is, moving it into policy 16, taking it out of the agreement. And then I would even add that you would add to amend it that you could require a higher threshold of vote. So it wasn't just a simple majority vote, there's a higher threshold of super majority, so that you knew there was an exceptional circumstance.
Yes, that's a good idea. I like that. So, would that be all right?
Yeah, I think so. What I'm hearing is I can remove this sentence from the proposed edits, bring back to the board some language as a revision to policy 16, and then we can all decide whether or not that works and approve that at the next meeting. But we can go ahead if the board desires and approve the 5 other.
Yes. Would that be everyone's pleasure?
So would you delete the whole sentence, or would you delete after the comma?
My vision, beginning, so we're in 3.9.1, second sentence, the term of office of the chair and vice chair shall be governed by the board policies and procedures, or something akin to
policy
that.
16, which is called board and committee operating.
Yeah, I would probably not name it just in case it changes or we get a different number, but that's exactly the policy that would, as long as the board is comfortable, this is a departure from putting the actual, you know, years in the JPA. It doesn't affect us because we have to follow both the JPA and the policies, but it is a departure for what we've done in the past.
I think that's
more direction.
I think taking it out of that is a very wise thing.
Yes. We need to put the super majority though, for amendment in that, or can that exist in the policy?
In the event there would be a third year.
The supermajority can live in the policy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And it just so happens that policy 16 is coming back to the executive committee on September 9th for a different reason. So we're gonna go ahead and add this in, bring it to an XCOM, and then bring it back to the board. If you all approve that, then you would direct us to do another 30 days, correct? For this item only.
If we decide to do it within the context of the JPA.
Okay.
Is everyone, yes, Director Brent?
Tangent, I'm okay with this arrangement. But just for sake of context, the selection of chair and vice chair is how it's done. Only the night.
Nominating committee.
Time nomination committee.
Yes.
Yes, and also with Director L. I think it will benefit the governance. You have a formalized process on that. And
we do have a formalized process on
the nominating committee.
We do. So the chair, I think who appoints the nominating? Is it the chair appoints it? And you cannot reside on the nominating committee if you want to be nominated, but the committee then has to be approved by the board.
Policy 16.
It's in policy. There's a formal policy for it.
So you'll see policy 16. And if you have things but I'm requesting if you have language changes you want to propose, will you do that this week? Because we have to post for the 9th, and it would be good to get policy 16 put to bed.
I'd also like to note, I'm glad that Supervisor Mueller flagged this. There is a special voting requirement section, which is 3.7.5, and there's a 2/3 section in there that does not include what we're talking about. So in order to get the supermajority even in the policy, I would need to amend that. So are we comfortable with the simple majority, or do we want to also amend 3.7.5A? Which is the voting shares portion of the JPA.
I think it's fine. I don't think it needs to be a supermajority. I think a majority would be. You got to convince 11 people to go along. It's a lot. Or 12, essentially. 12. I mean, it's up to you guys. Do you prefer supermajority?
No, but that's if everyone else is comfortable.
Whatever you.
I think a majority.
Efficient.
Okay, we'll decide on simple majority then. Thank you.
All right, yes.
One question. We kind of have through this already in that we have an election every year. So somebody's doing a lousy job filling them out. What I would be more concerned about is we're in the middle of a year and somebody is starting to act strangely and be a problem. We have the ability to vote somebody out in the middle of the year if they're going sideways, and which I've seen happen in other.
I can answer how I would do that is if there was a problem with a particular board meeting, these people are appointed by the mayors of every city. So it would be the board's chair's responsibility with staff to go to the mayor of that city and explain to the mayor, possibly the city manager, what is happening at the situation, and ask the mayor to make a change on that board.
I'm thinking if our board chair starts misbehaving,
then yeah, sorry.
in the current situation, there is no possibility at all of this, but I'm just...
So no, I understand, but I think in order to get to be the board chair, you have to have demonstrated for at least 4 to 6 years a consistent pattern of behavior. Let's say somebody begins to suffer, they're sick or whatever. I think that would just cross into the realm of gracious conversation between the board chair, the staff, and the person, and we would get, if there was someone, say, for example, coming with like a gun to the meetings or something, and we were like, how do we deal with this? That would be dealt with through the mayor or the city manager, and we would ask them to please remove that person.
And it is contemplated as such.
Yeah.
As such in 3.9.1, section A.
There is no individual power, collective power of this board to remove
Person.
but that would go through the modality.
Yes, yes, so that's how. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
That I served on the board one time as a chair of Alzheimer's.
Right.
And they were just mentally deteriorating in front of our eyes. And but
so Nancy Pelosi would have to come to the rescue. But I mean, in all seriousness, I think these are circumstances under which the staff and that person's friends and colleagues on the board would have to just be handled, and there is not really a procedural way to handle a circumstance of that nature.
And that is because the JPA agreement specifies that the body that you all represent, you shall be appointed through, if not the mayor, then whatever your appointment process is, but that is a decision of the member agency.
For the members, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Clarification that. So what are the formal process? It's the formal process. Any of what?
You could bring it up to staff at any point in time. You could bring it up to the chair at any point in time. Generally, it would go, we would determine then where it goes to the finance and accounting, the audit, and yeah.
That's the case. Any board member felt that change in leadership is required, and we that warrants those actions. And that particular one agenda item, and more discussion. Decision.
I don't think it would get to that point. I think it would be handled.
I'm trying to answer the question. Yeah. If such circumstances arise, this board place.
And then in the real situation, this is exactly what happened. Friends got together, said, look.
Yeah. I trust that this is a very highly functioning group of people. It will continue to be. And then that's how that would be remanded back and would be managed. I'm sorry, but if we're wrapped up here with public comment, would it be everyone's pleasure to go ahead and make a motion on this?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I would move that we proceed without changes on, I guess, everything but number 4 tonight, with the understanding that number 4 will be returned to the board. Well,
second.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Lorraine, a second by Director Bigstick. Can we please have roll call? And I want to thank everyone for that robust conversation. Sometimes you just have to have these things, and so appreciate it.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes. Yes.
Humberton?
Yeah.
Belmont?
Yeah.
Brisbane? Yes. Burlingame?
Yes.
Colma?
Yes.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Yes.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Baños?
Yes.
Menlo Park? Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yeah.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos? San Mateo?
yes.
South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
Motion carried. Okay, I'm just trying to organize the agenda here with Shawn. All right. Thank you very much for the robust conversation. We're on item number 14. I'm really going to try to get this through by 8:45, 9 o'clock at the latest for everyone. So this is an approval of the First Amendment to the agreement with Shawn Marshall, our Chief Executive Officer, for her employment agreement. And I'm going to turn it over to our counsel to give us a little break.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you saw in your agenda packet, we had the contract review over about a little over a year ago. And as part of our process, there is an annual review of the CEO, which was conducted by the board's ad hoc subcommittee. And I'm happy to report that that was a very positive review. And Shawn has met or exceeded expectations in all performance categories that were evaluated by the ad hoc committee. And as such, the committee is proposed to award the raise that was anticipated by the original agreement and the bonus that was also anticipated by the original agreement. And we're doing so in the form of an amendment to the original agreement, not a completely new agreement. And so the complete details of that are in your board packet. I'm happy to go over the specifics.
Seen this? The closed session details are exactly the same. It's just in this arrangement, we have to then bring it to the public and make the recommendation in the full public, but there is nothing changed versus the day we had the conversation. Is there anyone who would have a question on this or discussion item? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll also just note that the memo to the board of directors indicates that it originated from Brianna. I think that may be a clerical issue that came from the legal department. Yes. David Silverman and myself.
And are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this agenda item? Need eyes in the back of my no. Okay. Great. Then I'm going to close public comment. I ask for the motion, please. Thank you.
Second.
Director Nash, second by Director Sullivan. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
San Mateo County?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Belmont?
Yes.
Brisbane? Yes. Burlingame?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Colma?
Yeah.
Daly City? East Palo Alto? Foster City?
Yes.
Half Moon Bay?
Yes.
Hillsborough?
Yes.
Los Baños?
Yes.
Menlo Park?
Yes.
Millbrae?
Yes.
Pacifica?
Yes.
Portola Valley? Redwood City? San Bruno?
Yes.
San Carlos? San Mateo?
Yes.
South San Francisco? Woodside? Motion passes.
Great.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I had some short, flowery words to support it, but I did want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Shawn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy to work here. We're all using that word a lot these days. So I'm just gonna use it by the Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. And it's we have a great staff team that backs me up every step of the way. So thank you for that.
They're amazing. Yeah. All right. Discussion item number 15. We have about 10 minutes on each of these items. So given our staff is here tonight, I'd like to try to get through those. So I'll turn it over to Shauna, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jana Kopichok-Lande. I'm Associate Director of Innovation Strategy. I started at PCE in March, so I'm here to introduce a little bit what I do in my work and in the new department called Innovation Strategy at PCE. I'm going to shorten my presentation quite a bit because it was planned for 20 minutes. I'm doing 10. I'm open for questions at the end of the presentation or offline at any time, so just reach out. Just really quickly, what I want to talk about, again, introduce the department, the new Innovation Strategy department, the work that we do, and the specific opportunities I'm currently working on and we're planning on doing over the next year or so. You know, when we talk about innovation strategy so far, we've been talking a lot about funding opportunities. I'm mostly working on trying to diversify PCE's revenue in terms of our energy programs, getting some state and federal funding to PCE to grow our programs. But I feel like there's a little bit more to my role than just the funding opportunities. It's also driving innovation, scaling our impact, being a thought leader, and really presenting PCE, especially to regulatory and legislative stakeholders, as that innovator and thought leader. I'm working with a lot of agencies, and our whole team works with a lot of agencies in that. Just to keep it brief, traditionally, a lot of the funding for energy programs has come from the CPUC in California, but that has changed over the last 3-4 years with, now the state budget, actually the general funds providing some funding for energy programs. So we work more with the CEC. And then, of course, a lot of you have heard about the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IIJA, and the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, from the federal level, that provide a lot of funding opportunities, a lot of grants to states in the United States. So we're pursuing all of those to really diversify where we can potentially get some funding for our programs. It is almost, we have a good problem. There's almost too many opportunities out there. It's not too little, it's too many. So you want to be strategic and really make sure you engage in the ones that you can possibly win and that fit your profile. So the first thing that I look at when opportunities come my way is, are CCAs eligible applicants? We are trying to really focus on supporting our existing or planned programs too, because we already know what we want to do, what we're good at. Don't go too far out of left field. We want to really get funding for programs, larger scale programs than a single project. We want to get like at least $5 million is kind of the rough guide we've set. Multi-year programs, $5 million, not $250,000 here or there. It's just too much work. And we think about, do we have relationships with those agencies? We have good relationships in the state of California. Direct relationship with the DOE or EPA is a little bit harder. But a lot of the federal funding goes actually through the state of California and through the CEC. So those are the federal opportunities we're mostly looking at. This is a really busy slide. Again, due to time, I'm not going to talk about that. It's in the board packet. It just tells you we have various kind of programmatic areas, from energy efficiency to electrification, distributed energy resources, transportation electrification, rate design. I'm looking at opportunities in all those areas, and they are named here. I would make that a follow-up if you have specific questions. And I'm kind of indicating on the top are the ones that we're currently already looking at and working on, and on the bottom they're the ones we're going to be addressing over the next year. And I'm going to talk about those current initiatives really quickly, because some of them are very exciting. The first one, we already won funding. Yay. Yay. First one was a win, so this is really exciting. We worked with several, what we call lead applicants, several entities throughout the state to apply for funding under the Equitable Building Decarbonization Program, very large electrification program that does basically exactly the same thing on a statewide basis, what we're doing with our home upgrade program here. So we want funding to give each and single home about $20,000 to $27,000 in incentives to support our home upgrade program even further. So now with our funding that we set aside for our home upgrade program, we can expand the reach of that program significantly by getting access to that funding. And that comes from both the state of California and the DOE under the homes program. So that's really exciting that we also tapped into that IRA funding. We're also, a big growth opportunity for us is the thing on the right, the energy efficiency application, where we're planning on submitting an application with the California Public Utilities Commission for about $40 million in funding is what we're thinking right now. The details are TBD, but we're really planning on offering a broad portfolio of energy efficiency programs that target a lot of customer classes. So right now we're very residential focused. We want to grow into the non-residential sector a little bit more, for example. That is out, that takes a while. This is a 2-year process with the CPUC, so funding would be in later years, but this is a really big opportunity to grow the energy programs that we offer, and it would all be ratepayer funded.
And just to add, Jana, the first funding that we've already gotten, we're expecting about $16 million.
Yeah, that it depends on how many homes are served. So it's an estimate at this point, but we think up to 700 homes could be served. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And there weren't many other people selected. I have to say that there's like a particular, we are like a rapid start community, and there's probably 5 or 6 in the northern region and in the central region. And so, we're one of 5, so it's exciting. Excellent. This is now moving from the energy efficiency electrification side to the distributed energy resources side of things. I had talked to the executive committee already in June about the self-generation incentive program, the assistance program. To keep it brief, again, it's a program that the state offers through the utilities to give free solar plus storage projects to income qualified customers. And we've developed a whole program after approval by the executive committee and this board to access those incentives when they come out in November. November, December is what we expect these incentives to be available. We're ready to make sure that our customers get access to these incentives that are offered by the state. And we just started outreach, the energy programs team did, and we got overwhelming response within hours. Many people had subscribed and called us and saying like, this is too good to be true. Are you sure this is real? So we're hoping that the funding, everything will go smoothly, but that's an exciting program, again, for income qualified customers we're currently working on. And then lastly, the community renewable energy program is a little bit more in like the early brainstorming stages, but it will offer funding again from the CPUC and the IRA funding federally to do more kind of feed-in tariff, distribution connected, smaller scale distributed DER projects in our service area. So I think I'll leave it at that. I have a little bit of a looking ahead, but again, considering time, there's some opportunities that I can just report back in the future. But if anyone has any questions on the ongoing initiatives or kind of what the point of the role is, please.
Sure.
Let me know.
Anyone have questions? Yes.
Thank you. So in the interest of expediency, I'm going to convert my question into a comment that can potentially be followed up later. But I did just want to mention something along the lines of, I'm excited about opportunities to move farther with regard to like the vehicle and transportation electrification side. We're doing work on charging, and I saw the vehicle, the bi-directional work that we may be able to do in the future. But could we help source info on or like other ways that we could help localities electrify their fleets and equipment? Because it just seems, I think, like the cities, even like the Rethink Ways Board and, everyone's looking at how they can do that. And I think they're running into some challenges that Peninsula Clean Energy might be positioned to help with in the future. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely take that back to Philip and the team. And we have been talking about fleets. We're doing very little. We're doing some fleets work already, but I think we can grow it.
I was going to say, we do have fleets.
Yeah. Yes.
With the anticipated funding, how much service do you anticipate to help with that? How do you feel you divide that money up? What is it going to accomplish? What's your goal?
It depends on each opportunity. Are you talking about, if I go back?
Yeah, I'm talking about your 16 million.
The 16 million, yeah, the equitable building decarb. Yeah, it goes to customers. There's very specific requirements which customers are eligible. It's income qualified customers. So it's 80% below 80% area median income, or AMI. It is the same customers that we target under our existing home upgrade program. And they would have to live in San Mateo County or in Los Baños.
Yeah, with that said, I guess my
Oh.
question is a little more direct, and maybe you don't know the answer, is how many homes do you think you would?
Oh, how many homes? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping the goal is 200 homes in Los Baños and 500 in San Mateo County. But that will depend on how the program rolls out. And
is that how you came up with your average?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 16.4 million. Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Yes.
Sure. I'll go.
I just want to say thank you. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a well-worth investment.
County. I think it would carry a lot of PR for PCE if that's distributed through the whole county. Sometimes we concentrate on disadvantaged communities, and I think every single city or community here has some disadvantaged residents, and they sometimes feel left out. So I hope we pay attention to that. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The good part is here, it's not focused on these stacks, it's low income customers anywhere, so that's, but I still hear you.
Yeah, that outreach to identify the firm.
Yeah. Really, it's low income.
It is, yeah.
Because you in San Mateo County, say low income is 140,000 a year, and that's low income, but not low income. So
thank you.
It's all too.
Does anyone else have a question, or is there any member of the public? Madam. Ready.
I see a member of the public.
Okay, sure.
Yes, with all your funding mechanisms, there's prevailing wage, workforce language, that's all that attached with this. So the programs you're gonna be rolling out with this money will have prevailing wage, compliance, all that will be part of it. Yeah, sure.
Yes, many of them, I cannot confirm right now that every single one of them will. Equitable Building Decarb does, the one that we won. It'll depend on each opportunity, but the one that we've pursued so far, yes, they do. Yeah. And thanks, I'll take it as a comment to like, remember that in the future. Yeah.
So, and a quick question on the through the chair. Would the customers even include apartment buildings, because that substantially apartment buildings have some, low to low income. So would that be, because that would be cross section of a commercial building, but it is really dealing with the apartments.
Yeah, under the Equitable Building Decarb program, no, we're focusing on single family homes only. But in the energy efficiency application, the large one that where we want to, yes, multifamily will certainly be a consideration.
Thank you.
Important point.
All right. Appreciate public comment. There is no vote on this. This is just a item for information. I will say that if anyone wants to learn more, I know our staff will be available. You can do a Zoom call. You can do anything you want, but they're very much available to help us understand the programs and make sure that we're using them to their fullest. All right, item number 6.
Thank you, Yana.
Thank you, Yana, so very much. And congratulations. Item 16, which is Gwen. All right, going to run this. This is just a quick discussion of Peninsula Clean Energy's brand strategy update. The fun stuff. This is the fun stuff.
But I will try to do it in how many minutes? I can do it in. So here to do the brand strategy update. Part of the, I think, motivation is that in the next few months, hopefully you'll see a new website up. You'll see us showing up in social media a little differently. And that's the front stage work of all the things we've been doing for the last 8 months to say, like, who are we? Who do we want to be? How do we want to show up for our customers? So this presentation is kind of a distillation of all of that. So I'll talk about how we built the brand foundation, the insights that came out of the process, how we use that to define brand structure, brand personality, messaging, and then next steps. So this is a way to show you on one slide, what is the process for trying to evolve a brand? So there's a lot going on. The punchline is that at the beginning of this process, we recognized that the market had changed, the organization had changed, our customers were changing, and it was time to take a step back and really think about, who we wanted to be and how we wanted to show up. So that's the insights, and I'll go through those pretty quickly. You can read those in the memo. What's in our customers' hearts and heads, and how do we fit into their lives for mutual benefit? I'll talk a little bit about how that helped us define the brand structure. And then we applied all of these filters, and then here we are at this moment in time where we're getting ready to do a lot of things in the front stage, like I mentioned. So again, I'll go quickly through these. So customer centricity, we've been talking about this a lot. Customer centricity is really a mindset shift internally, and it's about giving the customer the feeling and the proof that they come first. So it's little things and it's big things, but it's a shift in language in some cases. It's not, we did 500 chargers, it's you, community, now have access to 500 more convenient chargers, courtesy of us. Explaining is losing. So utility communications are a bit notorious for biasing towards trying to explain complex concepts on the first date. Hi, I am this person. Let me explain to you electrification. So you go around and around, you get caught in this kind of circular reference of low engagement requires education, requires more education, requires introducing complex concepts. So we're trying to break out of that cycle and recognize that we actually need to connect emotionally and personally with the personal value proposition first. We want to be candid and use simple language. We want to embrace that we're not here to educate everyone. We are here to promote affordable, clean energy that enhances the lives of everyone we touch. And we want to enable our customers to self-select their level of desired education. We certainly want customers to be educated, but we understand that they have a moment in time when they're willing to be. We want to get out of PG&E's shadow. So our brand currently lives under the shadow of the PG&E brand. To build a broad and positive brand relationship with customers, the PCE brand must clearly separate itself from PG&E, and we call this respectful separation. Alignment. So we don't want to change our vision. We are, really committed to our vision, our mission, our goals, why we came to be here. But it's broad, it's intangible, and it's future-based, and it's going to get in the way from building bridges with customers. So we want to reach broader audiences, and to do that, we want to translate that vision into immediate term personal customer benefits. We want to be undeniable. Climate change, environmental impact, they're important to us, but they can be emotionally and politically charged topics. We want to identify the undeniables, the brand and message attributes that can't be disputed no matter what your political or personal benefits are. We all want clean air, we all want clean water. We want to celebrate that we are a not-for-profit and we're a fabric of the community. Because we're a genuine not-for-profit local agency, we have the innate ability to build trust-based relationships with customers. So we're in this together. To build on this, we will celebrate that non-for-profit status. We'll demonstrate how we're part of the fabric of the community. We'll speak like our customers, plainly. We'll go from things like community reinvestment to we're here supporting our friends and neighbors. And then from vision to action, this is, really how do we start to do it? It's one thing to say it, doing it requires, again, that mindset shift, new systems, new ways of kind of doing things. Okay, so those are the insights. Brand structure. So I mentioned, what's in our customers' hearts and heads, and then how do we show up for them and show them mutual benefit? So one thing we really wanted to do was focus on the fact that to drive engagement and behavior change, we need to connect with customers emotionally. It's not enough to connect here. One of my favorite quotes, I think, is they'll forget what you said and what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. I don't know who to attribute that quote to, but I think it's really relevant here. And so when we talked about how we want to show up and who we want to be, what's our kind of personality? We are bold. We're really innovative. This group is innovative, but we're also thoughtful, and we're empathic. What are our core values? We are custodians of the environment. We care about candor. We want to be, we want to celebrate our love of community. The emotional rewards we want to deliver to our customers. We want to make them feel respected for the energy choices that they have to make. We want them to feel supported, and we want to make them feel pride and ownership in our organization, again, because we're part of the community. And then emotional or functional benefits. So we talk about, how do we deliver experiences designed deliberately with the customer in mind? And, clean energy and affordability will continue to be core values that we communicate with the community. So all of that, that brand structure went in, and one of the outputs is this brand fit test set of questions. So, when we're going to launch a program, the marketing side will be thinking, does this contribute to or support the message of affordability? Does it provide clean energy or enhance the clean energy message? Is the experience designed with the customer in mind? Does it make the customer feel respected? Does it make the customer feel supported in the energy choices they make? Does it deliver a sense of pride and ownership to customers? So then using this set of questions, then we can understand the key attributes and how we want to communicate those in a marketing kind of manner. Okay, so the messaging started with, the market research, our customer research, talking to stakeholders, internal teams, board and the executive team. We had some working hypotheses about how we are going to communicate the top level, that highest level, who are we? And then we did 12 in-depth interviews. We did 300 plus online surveys, and we arrived at what we would call market-ready message points. Want to clarify those message points. Actually, before I go into the message points, clarifying, these are not copy. This isn't customer-facing copy. This is how we orient who we are at the highest brand level. As an electricity service provider, how do we communicate that to customers in the way that respectfully delineates us from PG&E and lets them know who we are? So again, not customer-facing copy, but it is the messaging from which those things get built. Should I read these? Do I have time? You can read them. Okay. At Peninsula Clean Energy, we focus on providing affordable, clean electricity. As a not-for-profit, we focus on serving you, our community. Number 2, Peninsula Clean Energy supplies your electricity and PG&E delivers it to you using its poles and wires. Because we are a public agency, we can keep electricity as affordable as possible for you and your family. And then Peninsula Clean Energy is your not-for-profit provider of electricity. Because we serve you, we source electricity from clean sources at affordable prices, so you and your family can feel good about your energy choices. These can be used in different ways and interchangeably, and sometimes you'll focus more on one message than another. But this is sort of the starting point, and then we have a messaging platform, so elevator pitches and how we'll give talking points for staff to show up in public forums. Okay, so next steps. One thing that came up that I wanted to surface is that inevitably when you start talking about your brand strategy, visual identity comes up. And so Peninsula Clean Energy and the logo, we're at a point where when we started, that made a lot of sense as a name. We were geographically bound and we were focused on delivering clean electricity. Recognizing that things have changed a little bit, there is a natural tendency at this stage to explore, does the name and the logo still serve the organization? So we're just having those conversations. Recognizing that it's long, the shortening of it sounds a lot like PG&E, and it's quite difficult for customers to say, and it no longer geographically represents all of the areas that we cover. So I just put that out there because it's something that we are talking about and exploring without a push towards any particular outcome at this stage. As I mentioned, we have a website in development. We're working with programs to launch marketing campaigns, and we would love your feedback on any of this work and happy to dive deeper on any of it. Yes.
Can I make one comment?
Of course.
I want to, just in case, there's anyone that's having a minor heart attack and say about the name and the logo, because these things can be personal. They feel personal because this is our baby. It is very preliminary. The marketing committee has heard a much more detailed version of this, and all of these things are working through the marketing committee. So I just want to put any mind to rest that this is not something that the staff is like going nuts on and it's going to be a fait accompli. Not at all. But we did think that it made sense to, if you're going to look at your full brand identity and really shifting the way we show up in the world, then we would be remiss if we didn't look at this at least and surface what the issues are and come to a decision that would include, of course, the full board. So I just want to make that clear. It is not a fast moving train on this one. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, Director Rohrbach.
The one thing that I saw that really came out to me is trying to get out from under the shadow of PG&E. I think that's enormously important. I think PG&E has a bad reputation. PCE should have a good one. And as long as we can, as you said, many people think it's the same. PCE, PG, who knows, So that would be my recommendation, to really come out from under the shadow of that. If it means having 2 separate bills, for example, that might make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a regulatory issue. We can't. But I agree. We would love to.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
unfortunate.
I know. Mr. McCune?
So my day job, I work for a firm that does some of this. We do brand strategy, logos and graphics and naming and all that stuff for Chevron and Wells Fargo and some other companies. Redoing the logo, no problem. That, you know, we do that stuff for big companies all the time. Changing the name is a much bigger thing, much heavier lift than changing the logo. You know, we've gotten to this point where people recognize the name. Just name recognition for some, you know, an entity like this is a big deal. So, you know, I'm not saying we can't do it, but I'm saying changing the name is a much heavier lift and a much bigger deal than changing the graphics.
Yep. Or comments? Yes. Chair, Director DeGolia?
I agree with what Harvey said. That separation is really critical.
Yeah.
I also thought that the slide that came after that showed the different points, and the second point being that we provide the generation and PG&E delivers that electricity over the wires, will confuse people. Because we've got to separate ourselves from PG&E. And yes, there's an educational issue. And I really like the way you approach the education in that we'll provide customers the opportunity to choose what level of education they want. But that whole ball of wax is very difficult. And while it's at 100% accurate that we're just generation, and some people don't really understand it, and we need them to know that we don't run the wires, to present that is confusing because it actually brings us back to PG&E. We're partners when we're sort of partners. You know, we have to be partners at one level, and at other levels, we got 100% of the vote of every council person in this county because we really aren't partners, because we really don't like them.
Director Dixon?
I feel like I'm going to keep having evolving thoughts with everybody's contribution, but after hearing Director DeGolia, what I visualized as he was speaking was, I guess, kind of a web page where at the top it says, "We're not PG&E." And then, like, if you scroll down a little further, there can be a blurb about the differentiation where we're supplying your electricity, and sure, PG&E's the distribution network, but we're the ones who are making it happen. And so the headline is the break. And then after that, you can articulate for those who actually do want to continue reading, right? And then to Director McCune's point, I think that I agree, I'm not disagreeing, but I had a different thought process where for me, when I see the logo and the logo changes, because part of my brain is very visual, that's off-putting. I'm looking for the logo so I know what I'm looking at. And so, but that being said, I'm also excited to see what that might look like. And I appreciate the sensitivity around the conversation. So on the one hand, I'm like, oh no, am I going to recognize it? And on the other hand, I'm like, well, what could it look like? And it's intriguing to me. And as far as the name itself goes, you know, the point's well taken that we're not just Peninsula Energy anymore. And I look forward to seeing opportunities that might be more inclusive of our expansion and our inclusion of the community of Los Banos and what that's going to look like. So that's all to say that the points are well taken, but also I'm excited to see what those opportunities might look like.
Dr. Mackin.
I appreciate all of your comments because I'm on the marketing committee as Betsy is. And interesting, Director DeGolia, what you said about the link to PG&E. And I think that's a valid, we hadn't thought about that before, but I think you're right. But I keep thinking of the power of community and that as a play on words, in that if we can show that we provide, you've made the choice for clean power. We give you that choice to buy clean power and separate from PG&E. I think we can parlay that into we're growing. If we consider potentially a name change, it could be a launch that the power of community has made us grow. This is where people want to go. And that would be a marketing opportunity as well with a name change, that we're going another whole step because we've been so successful. So just something to consider.
Yes, Director Lorraine.
Thank you. I appreciate a lot of the comments tonight, and I just wanted to offer an admittedly non-marketing professional opinion on the presentation, and just to say that I think a lot of it resonates with me as somebody with experience of seeing Peninsula Clean Energy get to where it's come to date. But going back to, I think, some of what we heard, I think when you first started, Gwen, and some of the initial work, I would disagree a little with the idea of our name recognition being great, right? I think that part of the point of why we're doing this in the first place is that we're not well known enough. And it seems that despite the success we've had to date, when you ask people in our area, what is Peninsula Clean Energy, I think the answer leaves a lot to be desired. And so to me, I just think logically, a lot of what has been discussed in this presentation makes sense to me, that it would make sense given that to think about a name change. And if we were going to do it, now is probably the best time to do it, because we're moving operationally effectively full speed ahead. And I think as Director Mackin put it eloquently, you know, we have a lot to back it up, and can really use this as an opportunity to reach a lot more people. I think that's, yeah, I mean, this makes sense to me, and I appreciate it, and I look forward to next step.
Thank you, Director Mueller.
So now people recognize our interaction with people is through the bill, right? So is there anything fundamental about the brand, this brand exercise, that's going to change our actual interaction with the customer, or is the only way we're going to reach them through the expenditure of resources?
That's a really good question, and I think it's a complicated answer. So it starts with, once we understand the brand and we lock in, what are we going to do about the name and the logo? There would be a go-to-market campaign. How do we go out in a big way? So there's an expenditure, and we've considered like kind of the launch level marketing expenditure, and then you're in market with ads about who you are. And once you have, so we're 14% unaided awareness. So our awareness is actually pretty low. Aided, it's 41. So we have some opportunity to increase awareness. And like Colleen said, a big campaign would be an opportunity to do that. Once you've established brand awareness, then the role of the programs in driving brand equity does more work. But right now, and one of the things we've talked about is a lot of customers getting the rebate don't know that they're getting our electricity from us. And that's one of those gaps that we would really love to build, both with a big brand awareness campaign and then driving the equity through programs by providing experiences designed with the customer in mind. So I'm not talking about customer experience here, but we're doing a lot of thinking about how we really scale, target, localize, and personalize those communications with our customers. Whole other.
Yeah, like I get it. I get, so I've been part of branding exercises too. What it really comes down to is, do you have the resources to deliver a change in brand to people so they actually even, it registers, you build brand awareness. And the only thing I'd say is, if we are not going to put the resources behind this to actually make the impact, we're flushing what brand awareness we have for another one, and I'm with not necessarily the return we're expecting. Like so that's, I don't mean to, I appreciate all the work around the branding. I think it's all very important. I think it's really important how we think about that. But before we say goodbye to PCE, we better make sure that we are going to spend the amount of money necessary on a continuing basis. Because right now, I know for myself, what I pay attention to is my bill. And it's going to take a lot to get out of under a PG&E bill. Just think there's something separately
Director
there.
Warback's
point.
Can I just make a comment here? in some ways, we wanted to be transparent about, look, if we're gonna look at the branding, we shouldn't ignore looking at the whole picture, but it is super early days. And there's a whole process that Gwen and the marketing team will take the marketing committee through, and this has a ways to go. And there's a process that is established to actually look at this in a strategic way, not just sort of drop it into a board meeting in August. So I wanna temper a little bit any expectation, because there's no decision made at all. So just put your mind to rest on that one too. It'll come back, and do you want to wrap up?
Not something to take lightly.
Yes.
I will just echo what Shawn said. It's definitely not something that we would take lightly. So.
And I hear you about the budget, and if you're gonna do it, then it's gotta be followed up with, and so that'll be another decision point, I think, to make.
Just one very quick cautionary tale. I worked on one rebranding, renaming thing where a big global company bought a medium-sized company here. And they wanted the medium-sized company renamed to have the big corporate identity, right? And they did it. And they came up with this new identity for the medium-sized acquired company that the board of directors loved and the customers hated. And you see this sometimes in this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter what we think. It matters what the customers think. And please do not make the mistake of saying, we get it, we love it. It doesn't matter. What matters is what the customers think about it.
100%, yeah.
Preaching to the choir.
I'll take Director Nash, please.
I just want to say, having been on the marketing committee, Gwen Rose is amazing.
Yes.
And just incredible. And I really, I know she has thought through this so thoroughly, and we're just tiptoeing into it. And I have 100% confidence that whatever we decide to do will be the right thing. With money behind it, it will all be a package.
And here, I've got Director Big Stick.
Yeah, I work for Safeway, who was bought by Albertsons, and so Safeway is Albertsons, who was actually bought by Cerberus. And so I'm acutely aware that I am Safeway, not because I'm actually Safeway, because I'm actually Cerberus or Albertsons, but because that brand recognition is that important, which is why if you go south, you got Bonds and any Albertsons that's ever been Albertsons. That being said, I think that having client buy-in in Los Banos by having a name that could be more all-encompassing and reflective of who we all are is certainly a wise consideration regardless of the end outcome. And I'm still, acutely aware of the realities of branding on the one hand, but on the other hand, tentatively excited to see what our possibilities might look like.
Perfect. Director Rohrbach.
What would it take to change apparently the law that requires us to build through PG&E?
Nobody gets to speak.
Oh yeah, sure.
She has not said it.
I mean, essentially it would take a bill,
Yeah.
right? That would go through the legislature. I think that other CCAs may not be as enthusiastic. There has been some indication that if we set a separate bill, customers with low brand awareness might not know they're getting an electricity bill and may not pay it.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a revenue challenge we may encounter. So I think doing any major policy changes would require a lot of buy-in from our sister agencies, and I'm not sure we could get that.
Because it transfers risk to the CCA for collections.
There'd also be a tremendous cost in doing that billing process, that remittance process. We'd have to, in order to bill, pay someone to mail, remit the payments, process everything like that. Like, we really do get that benefit from PG&E at a very marginal nominal cost, 21 cents per customer on a monthly basis. It would be significantly more than that, for us to do that on an individual account basis.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But based on what I think of in terms of what brand awareness should be, I think we really should look into doing that. Because I think the fact that everybody gets one bill, that's PG and big letters on the top, and you have to drill down in this really wonky way to find out what PCE does.
That's fair enough.
If you can't change that, I think all of this marketing stuff.
A suggestion here, which is we bifurcate the two issues and we let Shawn and her team and Shawn E talk at the global CCAs when they're meeting with all their other peers, bring it up in that area that can reside there. Okay. And then we can work on branding at like a separate course. Yes. Director Sullivan.
You know, you brought up a good idea, because when you're right about the PG&E bill, even a simple thing on the PG&E bill is for the delivery of the clean energy to have it in a different color than the PG&E bill, giving it its logo. That would be an astronomical big thing in the customer's face to realize, oh, the delivery's coming from PG&E, the energy's coming from here. So I don't think the bill does a good job of marketing what we're all trying to represent. That's the key.
Really comment. We have tried for years since I got started on this whole thing to even change anything on the customer bill. And it's just not an option. It just hasn't been an option. It's a legislative change. It is not small. So
it's really beyond the purview of what we're doing with today,
right now.
PCE. But I will, I'm gonna just kind of try to wrap up with one thing. We'll take public comment, but I have a little tiny different thing, Gwen, which is we keep calling ourselves a not-for-profit. Mm-hmm. When I think of not-for-profit, I think of an organization that's a 501c3 that's fundraising and doing this and doing that. And I'm having a little tiny bit of a merging or identity crisis around the term not-for-profit, because really what we are really a sort of, a ratepayer sponsored, community driven, company, I hate to use the term government, but like that reinvest. So I know.
I'd be happy to share the customer insights from testing around what makes the most sense. And I think of not-for-profit as a verb in this case, rather than a noun. Okay. But again, that isn't customer copy, but it's how we differentiate and make it understood. Yeah. We are not a corporate for-profit entity. Yeah. We are a not-for-profit public agency. And when we tried public agency alone, that actually didn't work either. So
it doesn't really work. But when I try to explain it to people, what I say to people when they ask me is, we don't have shareholders. Our shareholders are you, our ratepayers are the people who benefit from if there is profit. I just always find not-for-profit, like people always just, because we are actually, not-for-profits operate right on the line of,
shareholders was actually a little bit troubling as well. Like sort of people fell along the lines of being positive or negative, almost depending on whether or not they hold shares.
I understand that better. So that's my only, as a person who does a lot of work in the nonprofit world,